I'll take you to one very telling event, a meeting inside the U.S. Capitol with Republican Party operatives and a number of leading evangelical spokespersons. The conversation went something like this. You guys want Roe v. Wade overturned. We can do that for you. But you take the whole enchilada. You take the whole thing. You take everything else that comes with it. Because if you want Roe gone, you have to work with us. So you take it all.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and the House Judiciary Committee held a meeting to gather information around the possibility of unjust influence on the Supreme Court, specifically if religious and political groups made a significant push to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I was at the table, and I watched my colleagues nod uncomfortably, but from that point on, the community that I had served and still do made a deal with the devil.
The Reverend describes in no uncertain terms making a, quote, deal with the devil in order for the political goals of his community and shared people in faith to be achieved. Now, it's no conspiracy or secret that there are very influential groups in the United States that have firm grips on the actions of lawmakers. But the Supreme Court is supposed to be an apolitical body, one that only serves to analyze and evaluate the laws of the land as compared to the Constitution and the precedent set by it, as well as previous law. But it is also no secret that the Supreme Court houses justices with ties to shady religious cults, alleged sexual misconduct, and in marriages that those that attempted to overturn the 2020 election. So the idea that they were greatly influenced by political leaders and religious organizations is not altogether a surprising fact, just that it has to be proven before this committee.
And that deal was that we would support everything on the conservative agenda, whether or not we had conscientious conflict with it.
This issue will be looked at in January when the new Congress begins and Republicans take the majority in the House. Their plans range from investigating Joe Biden to investigating Ukraine. It will not be a rule of vengeance, not of law. And none of the issues of the Supreme Court justice lying under oath or having ties to the Trump administration will make any difference. In fact, it should be very obvious that the MAGA Republicans, once in the House, have zero intentions of bettering the lives of the American people. And as far as the precedent of Roe is concerned, Republicans worked alongside the fringe right wing to see this come to be. They knew that their most reliable voting base would be those in the evangelical community, and they milked that relationship all the way until the Dodds decision. And now everyone is having buyer's remorse. It's apparent that the religious right and those in the GOP that use Bible thumping as a political tool don't actually know or care about the nuance of the issue of abortion. When they used a one-size-fits-all approach, they signed the death certificates of women in this country. They sided with rapists. They let children become mothers. And they didn't even have the guts to stand by those decisions or to admit they were wrong. They are all just panicking because maybe, just maybe, this issue is one of many that cost them the midterms. And I know that as disgusting as that is, the GOP is not above using people as pawns in their quest for control over the government.
Going forward, the majority chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committee will have nearly unlimited power to target and make public the tax returns of private citizens. And not just private citizens, political enemies, business and labor leaders, or even the returns of Supreme Court justices themselves. No party in Congress should have that power. No individuals in Congress should have that power. It's a power to embarrass, to harass, or destroy Americans through disclosure of their tax returns.
I hope he at least stretched before reaching so far. That was Congressperson Kevin Brady out of Texas with a warning that releasing Trump's tax returns could lead to the release of tax returns from private citizens. Fear-mongering. It's the finances version of cancel culture is coming after you, you non-politician, celebrity, entertainer, or rich person who none of this applies to. You know, accountability is what I think they mean by being canceled. Speaking of accountability, Trump should have released his tax returns already. It's at the very least suspicious that he hasn't done so. I'll get back to this in a minute, but What I want to briefly focus on is the to target and make public the tax returns of Supreme Court justices part of what Rep. Brady had to say. There's no downside to that. This could be a part of the vetting process of people who will receive lifetime appointments. Now, as much as I would like to see tax returns or anything really, where I could learn how much a justice would say, spend on beer, likes beer, Timmy's for skis with Judge Tom, PJ Bernie, and Squee, or how past debt was paid off. Okay, maybe those two things only apply to one justice's finances, but if we could see tax returns, it would cut the legs from under one justice in particular.
And the best part of being a justice?
It's first of all, it'd be impossible without you. I have to be honest. I mean, it would be, it's sort of like, how do you run with one leg?
That was Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas with a sweet, wonderful sentiment towards his wife Jeannie that I'm going to look into too deep. Again, if we could see tax returns from justices and they filed them jointly with their spouses, then we could possibly learn about past involvement with cults and how much a role significant others play in making decisions. Or if the wife of a Supreme Court justice said, quote, the most important thing you can realize right now is that there are no rules in war, and this war is psychological, psyop to the chief of staff when the peaceful transfer of power was in order, perhaps we could see if payments were made to fund this, quote, military operation usually aimed at influencing the enemy's state of mind through non-combative means. And I'm not going to go as far as say that it's a declaration of war on U.S. citizens, but I will say that's treason. Am I the one reaching now? No.